episode 27. And as you can see from the title, which I agree, not so humble on my part, I've read over 250 non-fiction books, and this is going to be my top 20. Favorite, best, whatever you want to call it. Okay? Although this podcast is called Ask Me Anything, AMA, no one really asked for this, I have to be honest. But I want to do it. Why? Because I believe my list is sick. My list is really good, if I do say so myself. Okay? So let's get into it. But before we start, let's just address the context and the criteria. Right? How did I come up with this list? And what is the context? What books do I like? So, in general, the list is books of all different genres. Yeah, I read mainly philosophy, but there is also, I like physics. I like books about health, business, psychology, all of this. So all across. I've excluded biographies, autobiographies, stuff like that. Why? Because it's just too many of them. I can make a list just of biographies. So I've excluded this. So it's strictly philosophy, self-help, all that sort of thing. Yeah. So how have I ranked them? It's difficult to rank books when you're trying to compare a book about health with a book about business or money or something like this, or philosophy, different genres. How I went about it was, I thought, okay, if I could only take one book with me somewhere, let's say I'm on a deserted island, I can only have one book with me. Which one would it be? So this is how I kind of came up with a list. If I could take this one or this one, which one would I take? This one. Yeah. So this is how I came up with my top 20. Okay. So I don't want to be around the bush too much, because if I do, this podcast is going to end up being well over 2 hours. I'll try and be nice and short and concise, and see where we end up. So let's start now. Let's make a start. Enough beating around the bush. So at number 20, by the way, I do have some of the books with me, but yeah, too long. This book, Anyway, number 20 is Homo Deus, okay, by Yuval Harari. Don't know if you know it. The book is actually, obviously, I've got my list here. So if I'm moving around, just bear with me a little, yeah? So Homo Deus by Yuval Harari. This is actually the sequel to Sapiens, History of Humankind, I believe the subtitle is. Anyway, Homo Deus, why have I put Homo Deus there instead of Sapiens, actually? Sapiens is pretty much the history from the beginning of civilization, not even civilization, just from before, from hunter-gatherers all the way up to now. Homo Deus is like predicting the future, pretty much. So it's speculative, you could say, but there are some good predictions in it. So what is the book about? What is the book about? I'll try and be quick. Around 5 minutes per book, I'll allow myself. Yeah. So I don't get to tell you the whole book, but then I don't just go over the title and next. Okay. Yeah. So Homo Deus. This is about the future of humankind. What is the interest? What's interesting about the book? In the past, historically, it was all about survival. Okay, we can all agree. Hunter-gatherers, whatever. Back in the day, it was all about you have to survive, you have to reproduce, and just have a family, have kids, try and make sure everyone is safe, eat, sleep, and have children, pretty much. So it was very simple. You didn't really have much of a choice. But then, as society progressed, we started evolving, we started creating new things, blah, blah, blah. Society, we get to today. We're not struggling. There is no fight for survival. Okay, that's a given. Generally speaking, everyone's got food. Yeah, everyone's got a job, and we're fine. We're fine. Now, some people are complaining, oh, but my living standard is bad. This, that. Yeah, listen, compare it to before. Are you obviously are you at risk of being eaten by a lion? No. Well, so you're good. You're good. That's not bad, is it? The point is, nowadays when there is no, where survival is kind of guaranteed, what's next? What gives us meaning? That's what the book is about. What gives us meaning now? What is next for the human race as a whole? It asks a lot of questions, that book, to be honest. That's why it's good. It's good when you have someone or something or a book, yeah, ask questions. Just asking the question. Also, another thing that you can think about, because people would say immediately, happiness. Well, yeah, maybe. That's an option. But what the book is about is happiness. What is happiness? Happiness is an emotion, isn't it? To a certain extent. Well, being human, what is special? What separates human beings from everything else? What separates human beings from animals? Is it the ability to feel emotions? Not really. Animals have emotions as well. It's well documented. It's proven. Then again, okay, well, it surely cannot be just a processing, sharing of information, data, if you want to call it that way. So just information. Okay, I have this knowledge, I pass it on. Knowledge, pass it on. Why? Because computers can do the same thing. Okay, machines can do that as well. So is this thing in between? What exactly is to be a human? That's the question. So, very good book. I'm not going to tell you too much about it, but it's really good. Makes predictions about the future, asks questions, makes you think. I like a book that makes me think. Also, before I move on, what we need to keep in mind, kind of a bias that we have to be aware of with this list and with any list, especially, I would say, especially with a book list. Is what? Well, the earlier, no, not the earlier, my bad, shit sentence. But when you haven't read anything, when you're just starting out, you have little knowledge, you could say that. Then you read a book, and because you have so little knowledge, that book is going to add so much onto your knowledge that for you it's going to be, oh my God, that book was amazing. But then when you're 200 books in, you read a book, and that book adds like this much to your overall knowledge. So it makes less of an impression on you. So naturally, that's going to obviously make me value the books that I read earlier higher than the ones that I've read later on. Unfortunately, there is nothing I can do about it. Yeah, I've tried to be as objective as possible, but you need to keep in mind, I read this book in 2021. So this is almost 4 years ago. So at that point, I had read like 50 or 60 books. Because these 250 that I was talking about, I read them pretty much in 5 years. Okay? Solid pace, I know. But yeah, pretty much 5 years. Maybe if I read that book yesterday, I would have been like, yeah, that book is fine. Why? Because I would have been acquainted, yeah, with most of the themes and ideas that the book presents. Yeah. So again, take that list with a pinch of salt. My overall point and goal is for you to see some good books, because I can say, hey, this book is good, and this one not so good. All right. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to try and stay on track. not waste too much time. Next one, the creature from Jekyll Island. Okay, now we change. There you go. Immediately change of genre. The creature from Jekyll Island. This book is about the Federal Reserve. So this is a book about money. The author, yeah, a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Now me, I'm not really into conspiracies, to be fair with you. Yeah, I'm not big into conspiracies. Yeah, Earth is flat, all this bullshit. Yeah, not me. Okay, this guy. To be fair, it's a nice book though. I give you this book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Why? Because it gives you, let's say you don't really know much about money or about how money works. I like this book because it kind of explains how it explains it to the everyday person, how the economy works, kind of how money work, how the banks work, and kind of the history. Yeah. So this the Federal Reserve. What is this? Well, basically, I'm not gonna claim to be like a finance expert or whatever, but it's all about having some sort of understanding about how the world works, how does money work. Okay, so among all of the money books that I've read, Psychology of Money, this, that, money, blah blah blah, this is one of the better ones because you understand the whole thing. Okay, I kind of get it now. What do you mean inflation? Okay, people say inflation. Yeah, all right, everyone knows what inflation is, but why? Why is there inflation? Why? How do you justify printing money? So obviously, inflation is the devaluation of money. Why do money get less valuable? Because more is being printed. So imagine you have a pizza, 8 slices. Okay, if everyone takes one slice of the pizza, everyone is gonna have now 12.5%. Okay, of the pizza. Well, now all of a sudden, me, the Federal Reserve, I add another 2 slices to the pizza. Okay, and now your piece that you had is no longer 12.5%. Now it's 10% because there is 10 overall pieces of the pizza. Okay, so now what you have is less valuable. Same thing when money is being printed. Okay, I got that. Yeah, I got that. But then I was like, but what do you mean? How do you just decide and print money? Well, kind of this book explained it to me. Put simply, yeah. So obviously you can read the book. It's very interesting. This Jekyll Island, that's actually like an island that was owned by whoever in the early 20th century, and all these rich guys from America used to go there. So one day, like the boss of JP Morgan, this guy, some politician, this guy, that guy, they met there and decided, hey guys, listen, we need to make this thing in the Federal Reserve. So a lot of bankers, owner of this bank, that bank, that bank, okay, yeah, we're gonna make this thing and we're gonna be able to have more control over money and all this shit. Yeah. I'm gonna try not to swear, by the way. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do it. Anyway. So they did this. Well, to get back to the point, which is like the main point from the book, for me at least. Let's say, for example, Apple tomorrow is like, guys, shit, we're about to go bankrupt. We don't have enough money coming in, blah blah blah. Anyway, we're close to bankruptcy. We need help. They go to the Federal Reserve or whatever, and they go, listen, we're important for the economy. If we fall, this is gonna happen. The fucking this, that, blah blah blah, the other. So they justify, make a case for themselves. They need a loan. The Federal Reserve says, okay, no problem. Boom, print 50 billion or whatever. It just adds it to the overall money pool or whatever, and gives that money as a loan to Apple. So now we've got 50 extra billion dollars in circulation, created out of thin air. Why? To be given out as a debt to Apple. So now Apple needs to start paying back. Boom, 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 boom. That's basically it. Can you imagine? The only reason for money to be printed is to give out a loan. That's insane. This is insane. Obviously, many more things. It's much more in depth and in detail. What is fiat money? What is this? What is that? Like, yeah, money backed by gold or silver or whatever. All that stuff. If that's you, then read the book. It's a nice book. Keep in mind though, the guy is kind of a conspiracy theorist. So just, yeah. Next, we're kind of on schedule, 15 minutes in. Change of genre again. The Count of Monte Cristo. Listen now, I know I did say non-fiction, and this is fiction. This is a fictional novel by Alexander Dumas. But it's a classic. Have I read all the classics? No. Did I only read this book because I knew what it is about? Yes. Okay? But it's one of my personal favorites. The Count of Monte Cristo. This is like the archetype of the person that goes, of the man that needs to go on a journey of struggle and pain just to overcome himself and to come back and be better and build himself up in the world. So basically the story of pretty much almost every successful man, to be honest. Kind of, yeah. The dream scenario. It's not the dream scenario, but it's like the dream story of like struggle, you overcome it, and you come back as the boss. Yeah, so Edmond Dantes, very nice. He's like a sailor. He's 19. He's about to marry the love of his life, Mercedes. Oh yeah, well, they love each other so much. They're so good. The captain of the ship really likes him. The guy is good, hardworking. Everything's going his way. But then this obviously provokes some jealous people. So they make it seem as if he's I don't even know, revolutionary or anyway, in some shape, way or form, connected to Napoleon or whatever. That's not important. Gets thrown in prison, okay? Unfairly thrown in prison. They tell his girlfriend, soon to be wife, oh, he's dead. Yeah, he went to forget about him, blah blah blah. So he's thrown in this prison on the island of where was it? It wasn't Monte Cristo, was it? Anyway, not important. Thrown in prison. Then in prison, that's the best part of the book. He meets this old guy, like the old sage, the wise old man with the white beard and everything. And he gets taught. Because obviously he's feeling sorry for himself. He's like, why me, bro? He meets this guy, starts learning. Eventually comes out of prison after 13 years. Strong, knowledgeable, rich now, because he's found a treasure or whatever. And then he goes back and he starts, see what happens when he comes out. But that's it. One of my favorite stories. It's to be fair, that's the book. There you go. There. 800 and something pages. That is tough to read. It's a very long novel, but good. Classic. Not much more to say. I love it. I loved it. It was worth it for me. It was worth it. The story, beautiful story. Next, I have to say, another change of genre. Our mathematical universe. Now this is physics. That's going to be very tough now. Listen, even I'm going to struggle if I try to explain it to you. I've always liked physics. I don't know why. I like understanding how the world. I like to I'm just curious. How does that work? Oh, the cosmos, this, that. Anyway, that's a book about physics, our mathematical universe. It makes the argument. That's a tough. Listen, guys, I appreciate this is gonna be a tough shift of genres and of just topics in this podcast. So if you don't like physics, just get on to the next one. But I believe, before you skip, why do I read physics? Well, because when I'm into philosophy, okay, I'm trying to look for knowledge, learn new things, think better, and just anyway, all of that stuff. Well, if you read philosophy, and then you kind of have to read religion as well, yeah, because it's related when you're trying to understand the world or existence or whatever you're trying to do. But then if you read these two, you have to read physics. You have to be competent. Like, what is actually happening? What is this? What understanding do we have of the actual outside world? So I think it's essential to know a bit about physics, and it's also so interesting. And for me, at least, what is done. Again, I've read a lot of physics books. I've put this one in there just because it was kind of my favorite. It's very theoretical, more speculative, it's not like yeah. But what I got out of these physics books is, first, it challenges you mentally. So you need to be like, you struggle, you have to grapple with these concepts like gravity, time. What do you mean time goes slower where you have stronger gravitational pull? Stuff like that. Just space. Obviously, there's different types of intelligence. Spatial. What's spatial? What? Awareness, you could say. That's like a type of intelligence, you could say. Just understanding of space. I think that's important, to be honest. Anyway, it's challenging. It challenges you mentally, so it's good, and it improves your understanding of the world. Like, oh yeah, that's insane. Really, honestly. So what this book is about, our mathematical universe. The author argues that the universe fundamentally is built upon basically mathematical concepts. Jesus Christ, guys, I'm not gonna try and explain it. Anyway, he talks about the multiverse. That's what's interesting about it. Yeah, the multiverse. When I said mathematical, let me see. I have a key points for each book. I haven't used them yet. Now is the time, because that's tough. I've asked ChatGPT to help me out with a summary, with 3-sentence summary. Okay. The mathematical nature of reality. Yeah, this is what I meant. So, blah 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 argues that the universe is fundamentally mathematical in nature, with the laws of physics emerging from mathematical structures. Yeah, that's structures. That's the word I was looking for. Max Tegmark. Everything, including space, time, and matter, can be described by mathematical equations. He suggests that mathematics is not just a tool to describe reality, but the very fabric of reality itself. That's what I was trying to say. So imagine, okay, we're made out of molecules. Molecules are made out of atoms. Atoms are made out of electrons, protons, neutrons, all this stuff. What is this then made of? Oh, quarks, this, that, the other. But then you keep breaking down, and you just get to this mathematical, the fabric of existence. It's like a mathematical concept. I imagine it as a number. Yeah, it's sick, guy. It's insane. That book is mind-blowing. Beautiful. I don't want to spend too much time because I do understand some people don't care about physics. Like, oh, that's just a headache for me. Well, for me, it's not. And this book, especially when they started talking about the multiverse, that was beautiful to me. So I've read all of Stephen Booking. Jesus Christ, yeah. That jumping from topic to topic is a bit much even for me, even for a person of my intellect. I'm joking, guys. I have to be humble. It's just the title that wasn't humble. But imagine if I said in the title, top 20 books in my humble opinion. Yeah? Would have been stupid. Why would you watch that? So yeah, not very humble. 250 books read. This is number 17. Read physics, it's important. Physics. Yeah, I really want to stay on that topic now. But anyway, we have to move on. We're under pressure. 26 minutes in, I've only gone over 4. We need to move on. Number 16, Outlive by Doctor or Professor Dr. Peter Attia. So, this is Outlive. This is all about another change. Fifth change of genre. This is now about health. So, I went deep into the rabbit hole of just longevity, living long and healthy. Okay, what is the best way? So, and I read all the different, ways of eating. A vegan, carnivore, no sugar, so kind of keto, all that stuff. Yeah. And 1 sec. Okay. What is the essence? What's the main thing? Because you see all these guys on the internet. The most important thing is sleep, and then you see the next guy. The most important thing is what you eat, and then you see the next guy. You have to work out, and then you see the next guy. You need to drink water and all that stuff. Yeah. So to live a healthy life, according to, that's the best book. Again, just to really, I want to make a point. That's the best book out there for longevity and health. I've read pretty much all of them. Okay, 90% of them are just religiously preaching something and trying to show to you, oh, everything else sucks. This is the secret. This is the magic. There is no secret. There is no magic. Okay, as he says, the 4 pillars of health. Okay, according to him, is exercise, nutrition, sleep, and emotional well-being. Exercise, nutrition, sleep, and emotional well-being. Okay? This is the 4 pillars of health. So you have to work out. You have to eat well. You have to look after your sleep. You have to sleep enough. That's crucial. And you need to be strong up here, healthy up here. Okay? So, I don't want to go into too much detail, but food is the most important. No. It's a combination of all. You can make a list, rank yourself or rate yourself across these 4. Sleep, 6 out of 10. Eating habits, my diet, 7 out of 10. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Exercise, how much do I exercise? 3 out of 10. Stress, by emotional well-being, it's mostly stress, but it's also like training your brain. Yeah, you want to train your brain. being smart, literally, is going to protect you from certain diseases, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, all that stuff that's to do with your brain. The smarter you are, like the more languages you know. So it's called cognitive reserve, I'm pretty sure. As you learn new things, you keep you like develop this cognitive reserve. And then when these illnesses attack you, you're stronger. You have like a defense. I've built this up. I've built up my muscle, my defensive mechanisms, because I've been training my brain. It's also almost like a muscle. Yeah, so that's very important. Stress also. What is your reaction to stress? Because stress can literally shorten your life. Because there is a study, multiple studies. I read another book, the telomere effect. There is this thing, the telomeres. It's like in the cell or whatever. I'm not sure about the biology. Biology is not my strong suit. But anyway, the people that have a negative reaction to stress and that kind of get stressed or are exposed to a lot of stress, again, keep in mind, some people are going to make but I just have a very stressful job. No, it's how you perceive it. Yeah, so take a bit of responsibility. Stress literally shortens your telomeres. It's shown there is a link between how stressed you get and how the length of your telomeres. And then also there is a straight correlation between the length of your telomeres and how long you live. Okay, so that was a long way of me saying stress is really important. Peter Attia also said the same thing in the book. Okay, so we addressed stress, emotional well-being. We addressed the 4 pillars. The reality is you need all of these things. You cannot just go, oh yeah, well yeah, your sleep is good and you work out, you're not stressed, but your diet is so shit, so you don't live a healthy life. And this, who's telling me this? Someone that basically does nothing out of all the above. You know what I mean? So remember, it's all 4. Now I can go into a lot of detail about eating and about working out. That's not the place. Point is, read that book, the best book about health. Honestly, by far, the guy's a top quality scientist. Top quality scientist. And you can hear it in his tone. You know, when I've read so many books, as the book starts, I can kind of tell, oh yeah, this guy is selling something. He's either selling you an idea, magic trick, or a secret diet, or as soon as you hear magic or secret or all these buzzwords, you should know, yeah, leave that book to the side. This is going to be a bunch of propaganda. Nothing like this there. Just addresses the literature. This is this, this is this, this is that. Yeah. And remember, protein is the most important thing. Anyway, moving on. Five books in. We're on time. Yes, the pace is good. Okay, next. Meditations on First Philosophy by René Descartes. Yeah, by René Descartes. I've got it over there. René Descartes, philosopher, French. Why have I put this book there? Because René Descartes, he's pretty much the most famous. One sec, let me just get to. One second. Let me just get to my notes. There you go. He's the most famous of all philosophers in terms of he's the one that gives us this quote. I think, therefore I am. Pretty much, the only thing the only sentence that can never be doubted. Okay? The only sentence. Everything else. And that's basically what he's talking about in the book. Okay. He wants to find truth. What is a true statement? What is something that cannot be doubted? Yeah? That you can know it beyond any doubt, you know? No one can question it. I can have this knowledge and use it as a foundation of my life. That's what he was looking for. I'm getting slightly annoyed because I cannot really find the word. It will come to me anyway. So he was like, okay. He was kind of arguing more or less with the belief back then. This is like, I think, 17th century. So at that point, kind of, listen, I have okay understanding of philosophy now. I've read a lot of books, but there is just, I can't really learn 2,500 years of knowledge at the age of 27. Okay, so there is gaps in my knowledge. I have to acknowledge it. Okay, we acknowledge this, but at this point, kind of, you still have these old ideas. Okay, from what I remember, Aristotle's views, like, okay, all we know we get from the senses. Okay, knowledge comes from the senses. What I see, what I smell, what I can touch, yeah, what I hear. So René Descartes, can I trust my senses? Okay, and then he goes, I look at the world, okay, and I see a clear picture. But then let's say, for example, you get a glass of water, you put it in front of your eyes and you look through it, and then the picture gets distorted, and you're like, but nothing behind changed. What's happening? Why are my eyes not giving me the exact information that I'm trying to see? Is that what he said exactly? Anyway, listen, I might fail with the examples. Again, this is something I've read 4 or 5 years ago. Let's get to the point though. Another example is like, okay, can I be sure that I'm not dreaming at the moment? Can you know beyond any reasonable doubt that you're not dreaming? Can you know for a fact? How would you know? Don't know. So he starts just questioning everything, and he gets to a really dark place. And he's like, okay, the only thing, he gets to the point, the only thing that I can know, that can never be disproven, is the cogito. That's from Latin. Cogito ergo sum, or something like this. Anyway, I'm not a proficient Latin. My Latin, I need to brush it up. So I think therefore I am. So the only thing he knows is that, because he has this experience of himself, of like thinking, that means that he exists, whether it's in a dream, whether it's, the more modern theories, we live in a simulation. Okay, no problem. Maybe he's just a program, but he still exists. He has this experience of his consciousness, of his thought. So he has to exist. So he reaches this point. And this was like revolutionary back then. It sounds like, well, yeah, obviously. But, well, you come up with something like this. So that's basically it. In short, we don't want to go into too much detail. Moving on. I can just keep going and going about these topics, but we have to move on. Number 14. Letters from a Stoic, from Seneca. Okay, now we jump philosophy still, but we jump back in time, back to the Stoics. Seneca, one of the most famous ones. He's got so many great books. I just put this one. You can put, to be fair, you can put a lot of others there. I also like How to Die as well, On the Shortness of Life as well, On Anger. Just good books overall. Letters from a Stoic. So it's all about the Stoics. I've talked about the Stoics before on my podcast because that's a big thing. Unfortunately, nowadays, it's become a bit watered down because so many people use it and abuse it. I'm very stoic. You need to be more stoic. All these new internet gurus or whatever, and they don't know what they're talking about. They just see, oh yeah, it's kind of trendy, and yeah. Even a bit of a personal experience. I know one guy, he's like 19 or whatever, and he's got on his arm, he's got like a tattoo of Marcus Aurelius. And I said, okay, oh, have you read Meditations? No, but I want to read it. Why would you have the tattoo then? You see what I mean? It's just trendy. Anyway, the Stoics and Seneca. To them, all that matters is them that they really focus on your internal experience. And that you really need to focus on what's within your control. I know a lot of self-help books nowadays, they do talk about it, but go to the source material, to the original. So back to the Stoics. Focus on what you can control. Don't worry about the outside world. Don't worry about what this guy did to you, what this guy did to you, what happened there, this. They're focused on their character, because this is ultimately the only thing that is absolutely, entirely within your control. That's the main thing. This is the main thing. All they care about was, what do my actions say about my character? Am I undermining myself by my actions? Doesn't get much better than this. What do the notes say? Let's see. Yeah. Practical advice on how to live a virtuous, resilient life. Okay, yeah. There you go. Accepting hardships with equanimity. Equanimity is accepting hardship with pretty much a stone face, to put it that way, without showing negative emotion. That's why, that's the word, nowadays, when this guy is very stoic. He's not showing you his emotions. Okay? But then again, this comes down, if bad things happen to you and you can accept them and be calm and kind of look at all your hardships and all that unpleasant stuff, look straight towards it with a straight face, unafraid. This shows strength of character as well. So ultimately, it all comes down to your character. That's within your control. That's the most important. Just honestly, everyone should read about the Stoics. Everyone should read Seneca. Everyone should read Marcus Aurelius. It's just, this is wisdom from 2,000 years ago, and it's just as relevant as ever. What does that tell you? Geniuses, honestly. Next, number 13, Outliers. Outliers. Malcolm Gladwell. That book, 2 or 3 years ago as well. Is it the most, this is more of a, what do they call these books? That's not self-help. This is about the story of success. So it's almost like a study of all the most successful people in the world. What contributes to becoming successful, to reaching the top? So he gave some examples. Steve Jobs, no, not Steve Jobs, sorry, the other guy, Bill Gates, Mozart, Beethoven, these guys, just people that reached the top. This is the examples that I remember. He gave a couple more. Basically was making the point. Bill Gates, or he founded Microsoft, this, that. Well, it's all about, at least this book argues, to become successful, it's all about being at the right time, at the right place. So having the opportunity and putting in the work, putting in the hours. So this is pretty much almost like the original, where the original concept of 10,000 hours to become an expert in a certain field. I'm almost 100% sure it comes from this book. Now it's well known. If you don't know it, the argument is based on some studies from, I think, some musicians. Talent, yeah, such thing as talent doesn't really exist. We've discussed it before in previous episodes plenty of times. Talent is your physical attributes. That's basically it, talent. Yeah, cognitive to a certain point, but skill, to be the top tennis player, or to be the top wherever you want to be, scientist, or anywhere, anything like this. Talent is not it. It's all about getting in the hours. And they were making this argument about Mozart. Oh, Mozart. By the time he was like 17 or whatever, or 15, doesn't matter, he had already put in the 10,000 hours of playing the piano. But then they say, oh, Mozart, this is a genius. Okay? But he was making the argument. Geniuses is often just, you don't notice the work that goes into it. Oh, Messi, oh my God, Messi is such a talent. You don't know about the work. For Messi to become Messi, the hours. Also, coupled with physical attributes. This obviously talking about sport now. I'm just opening up open brackets. And also, you have to be at the right time, at the right place. Bill Gates, he had access to a computer in like the 60s when no one else had it. It was literally him and one more guy in the whole university that, I don't remember why, for some reason had access to a computer, and they were programming like 10, 12 hours a day. They were obsessed by computers. So he had the opportunity. He had the opportunity to put in the hours before everyone else. And then he was like, okay, I'm going to create this, that, Microsoft, boom, boom, boom. Bill Gates, everyone knows Bill Gates now. But he had the opportunity at the right time, at the right moment in time as well. And you get this boom, oh my God. Why? How did he become what he became? Okay, so that's basically it. And then the other side of the book, they gave an example about a little known guy, which after I became almost like obsessed by, not obsessed, but I listened to him a lot. Chris Langan. He is Chris Langan. No one knows him. He's not famous, he's not successful. And they kind of make the argument that because, oh, also I didn't mention, but it's kind of obvious, your environment. You have to be in the right environment. So right place, right time, environment pretty much. You have the environment. You have like a solid family, or where you put where you're supposed to be put, instead of you have the talent, you have the prerequisites to be up there, and then you get put in this environment that kills you. So they give the example of this guy, Chris Langan. He had the highest measured IQ almost ever. His IQ it was estimated to be between 195 and 210. Just as a reference, you considered a genius, a gifted slash genius, above, on most scales, above 130. 130, 140-ish, you're there. Pretty much a genius. Gifted. Einstein, 180, 160 to 180. This guy, 195 to 210. Imagine. The guy he's just too smart. When you listen to him, your brain starts hurting because he just uses the most difficult words that he can find. But he was abused. He saw a lot of violence in his childhood. He dropped out of school, so he became self-taught. And just the way he grew up, he decided, you know what? He was a bouncer in a bar. Imagine, the smartest person on the planet, the highest IQ, works as a bouncer. And in his free time, he does his own, he's got a book and everything. He's got his own CTMU, cognitive theoretical model of the universe, something like this, where he claims that he has found the ultimate theory of everything. So he's like a physicist and everything else, taught by himself. Imagine. And he publishes scientific papers and everything without going to university, nothing. But he was supposed to be up there with all these other geniuses. His stepdad used to abuse him, beat him up. Violent. Grew up around violence. And that's it. Right person, wrong environment. But yeah, that book was great. Next one, 12 Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson. I'm guessing we all know Jordan Peterson. Yeah, 12 Rules for Life. Listen, when I read it, this was probably the 15th, 20th book that I read. I was like, oh my God, this is the best book ever. Since then, Jordan Peterson has kind of gone like this in my eyes, unfortunately. Still a great book. Listen, I still 12 Rules for Life at 12th. See, still have it there. It's still a really good book. I remember it made a massive difference for me. I was just reading every chapter. I was going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But then again, remember, the less you know, the more impressionable you are. You're like, oh wow, oh my God, mind blown, mind blown, mind blown. But yeah, Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life. Let's just go over the 12 rules. 12 rules. Instead of going off of the summary that I've got from AI. Life. Chapters. There we go. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. As the first one, he was talking about lobsters. I remember. How can you forget this? About lobsters and how important posture is, how it impacts you mentally, because it gives you a different chemical reaction in your brain. Everything becomes more positive. Blah 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 blah. Second, treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping. Listen, the guy is up there 150, 160 with IQ. That book is brilliant. That's probably one of the best self-help books out there, honestly. And I've put it on the list after everything that Jordan Peterson has been through. And I went from being like, oh, this is like almost his biggest fan, to now I'm like, I even have somewhat of a negative opinion of him because he's been on so many interviews crying. Come on, man. Yeah. Make friends with people who you want the best for you. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. This was one of the best points of the book. So many people do it. Think about it. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Like, yeah, he's just young. He can get away with this. They get away with that. Then you end up with some spoiled brat. Anyway, set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. Meaning, fix yourself first. Yeah, don't go fix everyone else's mistakes before you fix yourself. Coming from the guy that has a podcast, yeah. But anyway, I'm trying to fix myself as well. I've done a good job over time, and I still have a lot of work to do, but that's good. I'm looking forward to it. Pursue what's meaningful, not what is expedient. Again, just that book was great. I have to reread it. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Important. Assume that the person you're listening to might know something that you don't. On point. Be precise in your speech. This is so important. So many people they cannot talk. You cannot communicate. Am I the best communicator? No. However, as Jordan Peterson said, if I compare myself now, after reading 250 books, to who I was on book 5, my communication skills are just, I'm like 10 times the communicator I was back then. Look at this, I've been on a podcast talking to a camera or whatever. Obviously, I'm talking to you guys, but for 56 minutes. I've stuttered twice, maybe, in my second language. You know, books, read books. It's the best thing. Sometimes you might have a genius idea and you cannot present it to the world. You might have the smartest thing to say and you cannot convey it in a meaningful, impactful manner because you're like, you're missing an opportunity because you can't speak. Don't let that be you. Do not bother children when they are skateboarding. So let your kids take risks, yeah. It's still good, even for parenting. That's just such a good book, honestly. Pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. I enjoy the little things, yeah. Kind of. Just read the book, guys. Brilliant book, yeah. I was thinking of dropping it even lower, but no, 12th is decent. That's a good book. I can't. Whether I like him or not, it's just a good book. Next, 11. That was a difficult pick. Man's Search for Meaning. Have it behind me? No. Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, he was a psychologist, clinical psychologist. I'm almost certain. Let's just check. Just give me a second. Viktor. Was an Austrian neurologist, psychologist, philosopher, and a Holocaust survivor. Now, how much I can talk about what happened to him? He was in a camp. Imagine, this guy was put in camp to die. The guy is like a genius, pretty much, and he was put through that misery, looking at people getting, every day. Horrible, in the worst possible, where you're just there and you're just waiting for your turn, pretty much. Can you imagine the pain? This book is just gives you perspective. You have to read it. There's so many ungrateful people nowadays. You have to read it. And this is why is it called Man's Search for Meaning? Because for him, in this environment, there is no, the future for him is doomed. And he was like, he started observing people. What happened when people cracked? He said that he got so good at like observing people that at one point he was like, this is going to be the next guy to go. Some people didn't even get to wait for their turn. They just stopped eating. They just went. They just gave up. So he's like, what? He started questioning, what's the meaning of life? How is this? He couldn't. How can you rationalize all this? What's happening to you? How can you make sense of it? You can't. How can you find meaning? Is this life? So he basically realized he's gonna be very anticlimactic when I say it. But read the book. Life is your job for you to give your life meaning. It's up to you. I'm not gonna say much more because we need to move on. Read the book. It's my 11th out of 250. I read it 4 years ago almost. That's a strong book. Strong book. I've read, imagine how many more after. Still up there. I've put it above Jordan Peterson's. I've put it above some heavy hitters. This book is just, you read it and you're like, I can't say anything. I can't say anything. You start understanding that what is meaning in your life. You start putting more and more value into this word meaning. Meaning. What is meaningful? What does my life mean? You start asking yourself these questions, which is what's more important question than this, if you think about it. Next one. Now, very controversial. Let me just say, am I religious? Not particularly. Am I a religious guru or expert? No. Am I curious, interested? Yes. Do I have any preferences? Religious preferences? So no. Okay. So we're just reviewing books. Okay. Take away the religious aspect and all this. 10th, I'm risking, this might ruin the video, yeah. I've put the Quran. Is it particularly the Quran? Now, if someone is Muslim and watches this, this guy, blah, 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 blah. Just let's try and, you can replace it with the Bible, you can replace it with Buddhism. I haven't included anything Buddhist here. I haven't included the Bible because I haven't really read it. I know quite a bit about it because I've studied all different religions. What I'm going to talk about here is not the Quran. I just like the Quran when I read it. There is a lot of misconceptions that I really didn't like. That's why I put the Quran there. I wouldn't have put any religious book there because, you know, religion is a bit of a touchy subject. So I want to address it correctly. I don't want to be controversial because there is no point. There is no room for controversy. The important thing, and what, if you really think about it, what all religions are about. Now, some haters are going to say, oh, control, blah, blah, blah. It depends how you want to look at things. Let's look at the positives. What is the goal of religion? Like the positive is for you to live a good life, to try and be a good person. Compiles knowledge and wisdom from the ages. Yeah? So what it's all about, essentially, when you start including God and all this, the main purpose of it, whether you believe or you don't believe, the main purpose is, and what being a religious person to me means, is you question yourself. You're trying to be better. Okay? A lot of people hide behind religion. Okay? And they start getting offended when you start talking about it. And they start getting aggressive and all this. So a lot of people pretend or gloat. Look at me, I've got my cross or whatever. I'm this, I'm that. But then you look at the way they live their lives. Nothing religious in their life. Look at the arrogance that they carry themselves with. By arrogance, I don't mean, oh yeah, what are you talking about? You've got a podcast and you've said 250 books. Listen, arrogance is evident in your actions. If you, this is my opinion now, if you do not take action constantly towards improving and getting better as a person and looking for flaws in your character, in your judgments, in your thought process, if you're not looking for flaws and for ways to improve it, that means you're arrogant because you think you're good enough the way you are. Religion is all about looking honestly in the mirror or within yourself and trying to find more, trying to be better. You can say this about the Quran, you can say this about the Bible, you can say this about all the different religions. That's all that it's about. Introspection. You look within. It's easier, or I think it's easier for people when they believe that God is watching them. So they're like, I have to be honest, God is watching me. Now, for some non-religious person, it's more difficult, yeah. You're watching yourself, but deep down, are you being honest with yourself or not? But then some people, they just keep lying to themselves. So I guess, no, yeah. It's about being honest. Honest. Look within. What do you see? Are you being honest? Are you questioning? Because, hey, that God, yeah, why God is there is just for you to know that the truth is somewhere out there. Are you seeing it? There is something that is seeing it, God or whatever. Can you see it? Are you deceiving yourself? That's one of the main things, the main rules. Do not deceive yourself. Yeah, that's it. I hope I didn't go on for too long on this. But it's important. It's important. I hope I addressed it correctly. Don't take the positives. Again, this is number 10, could be religious texts. As you can see, I didn't really comment on teachings and stuff like that, like particular things or differences. I focused on the main commonalities between religions and what is the good thing about it. Don't be close-minded as well. 9. This is going to sound a bit ridiculous, but the Nicomachean Ethics by Aristotle. Why have I put this book? Aristotle lived when 300-400 years before Christ. So the New Testament of the Bible was written 300-400 years after the ancient Greeks. Aristotle is the student of who? Plato. He is the student of who? Socrates. The great Socrates, the great Plato. This is like the big three of philosophy, of ancient Greek philosophy. Why have I put it there? Today, think about today's society. What do people say? The most important thing in life is, some people say, happiness. In life, it's very important to be, or to have, balance. Yeah, balance. The buzzword, I could call it buzzword, balance. It's all about balance, man. Yeah, man. Where is Aristotle? Where is my um, there you go, my notes. Okay, so this is where it all comes from. I studied this in school. We were all, it was all compulsory, but the way it was presented was horrible, just embarrassingly horrible. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about school. Aristotle. So the doctrine of the mean. So the mean, balance. Aristotle introduces the concept of the golden mean, or middle, you could say, suggesting that virtue lies between extremes of excess and deficiency. For example, courage is the mean between recklessness and cowardice, while generosity is the balance between uh, prodigality. I came across a word that I don't know. Can you imagine? Hey, can you imagine me, the all-knowing? You see, relatable. I'm being relatable now. I don't know the word prodigality, prodigy. Now I need to find it online. And stinginess. So prodigality and stinginess. This balance is essential for living a virtuous, morally sound life. So the balance, guys, balance. Where did it come from? All this balance. Aristotle wrote it down first. 2,300 years later, we still talk about balance, and we think it's like the key to a good life is balance. The key to life. He said it before Jesus, before all this. We need to acknowledge a lot of the teachings in the New Testament are heavily influenced by Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, these guys. They're simply before. They're before Jesus. Chronologically, can you imagine? That's insane to think about. But yeah, that's why, please, read the ancient Greeks. The texts are simple, but they're genius. Just think about, someone said something 2,300 years ago and it's still true, still valid. What more can I say than this to promote the book? Next, number 8, history of Western philosophy. So yeah, I'm not even gonna check notes or whatever. Number 8, 1 hour 13. So we're there, we're on pace, but that's all right, that's fine. Getting there, history of Western philosophy by Bertrand Russell. By the way, Bertrand Russell, he's a polymath. Nowadays, we don't even have this. Polymath is a person that is an expert in multiple areas, multiple fields. So he was a mathematician, politician, philosopher, physicist. There's like 4 things that take like a lifetime to master. Was he from a rich family, born aristocrat? Yeah, but still, that guy, gee, I really like a couple of his books. This one is like, can you imagine the knowledge that you need to have to go to, all right, history of Western philosophy. So he started with Socrates, and he went all the way up to his time, which is like 19th, 20th century. And for me, that book was laid out the foundations. I could go in chronological order through all the philosophers. You kind of see this is about like the story of human thought and understanding. The story of our understanding of life, you could say, and wisdom. And you just follow it. Okay, this is how human thought developed over time. This guy thought this, then this guy came, and based on the existing knowledge, he said, listen, no, this and this and this, and they start building up, and you get to these philosophers like Immanuel Kant and Arthur Schopenhauer, and they talk about principles of sufficient reason, critique of pure reason, stuff like that. That is just so abstract, and it sounds just impractical that you're like, how the hell do you get there? But then when you read this book, you're like, oh yeah, makes sense. And it's just like a good introductory book. You get acquainted with all the main philosophers. You understand, like for me, because when I read it, I had only read a couple of, I read one or two books from the Stoics. I've read a couple of books from Chinese philosophers. I've read a couple of books from the Greeks. I've read a couple of Friedrich Nietzsche's books, here and there. Like in between, no idea what's happening in between. I'm just guessing, I don't know, I've got no idea. Still have no idea about a lot of things, but I kind of know. Okay, this guy, he was here on the chronological order. He kind of talked about ethics. This guy talked about metaphysics. You see René Descartes? Metaphysics. Aristotle, a bit of everything. He's like the father of... Aristotle was a genius. The philosophy guy. Philosophies. I personally don't think there is more important subject than philosophy to study in life, to be fair. That's an outrageous statement coming from a football coach, but yeah. But this is like a lifetime process and journey. And as most people say, you need to have a different skill, something practical, yeah, and then start studying philosophy. Because if you just study philosophy, you're gonna add no value to society pretty much, because you can't really do anything practical. You're just studying text, and you're like useless pretty much. But yeah, philosophy, the study of philosophy is, just think about it. Before science, what was there before science? Philosophy, you could almost say, is the middle between science and religion. Philosophy is in here. Science took one turn, took the turn to the left or whatever. Religion took this turn to the right. Now some are going to say, oh, religion is before philosophy. Yeah, but maybe. But like written and everything, yeah. You could see philosophy is not religion. Still, inside of a religion, there is certain philosophy, like how to live your life. There is a certain philosophy of, life, what they believe in, blah, blah, blah. So, still, by philosophy, understand human thought. But yeah, think about Aristotle. Aristotle he had different theories about physics. So, and then after him, people started disproving him, this theory, that theory. And then after some time, then you had this, okay, these guys, they're just physicists now. And yeah, just philosophy is in the root of everything. politics nowadays, think about it. It's just these different political parties, they just have different opinions on life in general. Politics is like the ugly child of philosophy. The the child that's born sick and crooked and everything. Yeah. Politics is when everything took a bad turn with philosophy. Next, number 7. We're good. Pace is good. 1 hour 20 minutes. If I keep this up, we're gonna be done by 2 hours. Let's pick up the pace a bit though. Thinking Fast and Slow, number 7. This Daniel Kahneman. Amazing book. Mind-blowing it was for me. He talks about the 2 systems. Let's open my notes. 2 systems, fast and slow, pretty much. So he called them system 1 and system 2. Let me find the notes though. Yeah, okay. 2 systems of thought, exactly. System 1, fast, intuitive, automatic, and system 2, slower, more deliberate, analytical. System 1 often leads to quick decisions based on heuristics. We're going to talk about heuristics in a sec. System 2 is engaged with when more complex reasoning is required. Yeah, the book is about how these systems judge, shape our decision making. Pretty much, yeah. It's about decision making, this book. Then it talks about cognitive biases. It talks about the brain, pretty much. Decision making. Cognitive biases, what does this impact? Your decision making, your judgments. So system 1, fast, more so intuition. System 2 is you think long. Use, as obviously they said, reasoning. Okay, why this? Why that? Logic is involved. The important thing is that is a long book, fascinating book. You start you start becoming aware of tricks that your brain plays. Yeah, give you an example, something that you wouldn't really. So your brain, when you remember something, your memories, there was like a experiment. So experiment was a guy, let's say he goes to the dentist. He experiences pain for an hour of, let's say, pain 8 out of 10 for 59 minutes. Last minute, he experiences a pain of 2 out of 10. Yeah, so for 59 minutes or 58, the pain is 8 out of 10. Now, last 2, pain is 2 out of 10. Okay? Another guy, or that same guy, they do the same thing to him. Now, he's going to experience pain of 8 out of 10 for 40 minutes. The whole time. It just stays the same. In his memory, he remembered the longer experience that finished with the 2 out of 10. He remembered it as less painful. Because that's how memory works. Okay? You create a story that is not entirely objective, but it's more or less like a summary, and it gives you like an average almost. Although he was in more pain for a longer time, just because at the end there was that little bit of a 2 out of 10, yeah, that's fine. He remembers it as if it was less painful than the other one, which is still, it was 8 out of 10, but it was only for 40 minutes. So accumulatively, he experienced more pain in the first one, but he's going to remember it differently. He's going to have a more negative memory of that one, which was shorter. So he experienced overall less pain, but he's going to remember it as worse. Can you imagine? That's just one thing. So it's just, that book is all about this. Explains the systems, how they work, how we make decisions. Sometimes you don't have time to think. Boom, you just act. System one. Now, what is important to, what was the big difference? People go, oh, just intuition, you know. Well, you can change your intuition. When you think about something long and hard, yeah. So system two, when you involve system two in something, over time, system two is gonna be making changes, upgrades, and over time, system two can change your reactions from system one. So this is just more or less think long about something, long and hard. System two eventually updates system one. Okay, from now on, naturally to us comes this. So what does that mean in simple terms? You can change yourself, pretty much. You have the power to change your reactions. Some people go, I am who I am. I am explosive or whatever. Well, you can change it. You can change pretty much almost everything about you if you give it enough time, thought, and effort. So yeah, the cognitive biases and and errors. This is about, again, as I said, your brain plays tricks on you. I read a book with 100 different cognitive biases. So things that the brain does, or your brain tells you, that are not technically true, but just the brain, the way it's evolved, is evolved to present things to you in that manner. So why is that important? You being aware of this, you can improve your decision making, because you're like, okay, now I'm thinking this. And instead of taking it at face value, you're like, is my brain playing tricks on me at the moment? So this links to to René Descartes. Doubt. Yeah. Is my brain telling me the truth? Is he giving me accurate information? That's what I mean. Dunning-Kruger effect. What is this? That's a cognitive bias. It's essentially, just giving you an example so you know what I'm talking about. I already gave you one with the story that we tell ourselves. Dunning-Kruger effect is the false sense of confidence when you've just acquired a little bit of skill. So you imagine you start something new, you know nothing about it. You do 2 weeks of it, you go train some new sport for 2 weeks, you're like, oh yeah, man, I know what's happening. Yeah, I know. Your confidence is up here now because you've learned a couple of things, so you kind of know, but your skills are here. You started here, but now they're here, but your confidence is here. And then as you keep learning, you keep getting better, so your skills start going up. But then you realize, oh shit, I don't actually know this, I don't know that. So your confidence starts going down as your skills go up, because you start realizing how much you don't know. So that's it. That's why very skillful people are very more humble. They're like, yeah, I don't know, because they are aware now. They're so highly skilled and knowledgeable that they are aware of their inadequacies, in like lacks of knowledge, judgment, skill, whatever. Newbies, they think, yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, let's go. I'm amazing. Yeah, so that's one. We're moving on. Number 6, Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche. When I was writing this down, Friedrich Nietzsche, one of my favorite philosophers, To be fair, he used to be. He used to be. That guy is a genius. He's like a mad genius. I don't want to ruin it for you, but I have to say what I came up with. He's a little bit like Kanye West at the moment. He's a bit, but most of his ideas are just brilliant. That book is brilliant. I remember reading it and I was like, there's not a single thing that I can disagree with. That's just the way he's so skillful at presenting his arguments. And just his thoughts are so just beautiful. But then again, he's a bit crazy, you know. He goes, man, conventional morality, the widely accepted one, that's nothing for me. He's all about the individual, you overcoming us. Overall, his message, I believe, is positive. At least that's how I take it. But it's a bit darker. He's not afraid to kind of go into the darkness, the dark regions of the human nature. So just let's just see the notes, because the notes actually, the AI did a good job with these notes, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. Pursue. Come on, Friedrich, where are you, mate? 10. I don't think I have it. There you go. There we go. Critique of traditional morality. So, he argues that traditional notions of good and evil limit human potential, which, again, guys, we need to be open-minded. Think about it. Nietzsche challenges the binary moral framework, advocating for a more fluid understanding of morality based on individual strength and creativity. Now listen, the will to power. Introduces the concept of the will to power, the idea that life's fundamental drive is not survival, but the pursuit of power and self-overcoming. Self-overcoming. Forget about power. Power sounds very negative. Self-overcoming. Yeah. Going to war with yourself and becoming better. Coming out on top. Yeah. Being strong. Being a strong person. That's a kind of an overarching theme in most of these books, to be fair. Think about it. He suggests that individuals should transcend conventional morality to assert their own values and embrace life's challenges. Focus on embrace life's challenges. The will to power becomes a central theme in shaping human greatness and flourishing. So he's all about that superhuman, like reaching your full potential. It's like it's your responsibility to become the absolute best that you can. So yeah, it talks about master and slave morality. Slave morality. He's a bit critical of Christianity. So if you're a bit softer, right, maybe that's not for you. But it's important to read views that are opposing to your own. So he says master morality. That's what he calls it. Values strength, creativity, nobility. And slave morality values humility, empathy, and meekness. You know what I mean? He claims that slave morality arose as a reaction to the dominance of the masters, advocating for a re-evaluation of values. Nietzsche urges individuals to adopt master morality to create new values and live authentically, free from societal constraints. good to an extent, but then again, society, you need to have some sort of a common rules, so otherwise it's gonna crumble society, you know. Next, number 5, top 5 now. 1 hour and 35 minutes in. I'm still fresh. My voice is going a bit. I can feel it, to be honest. Get a bit fluids. Next. The Law of Success, self-help book. My personal favorite. You can see how high up it is. I really liked it. Napoleon Hill is like the original self-help person. He's an OG. The guy is good. The way he wrote his books, I just really liked it. Because this was written like 100 years ago. And it was eye-opening for me. First, he was talking about these historical figures, which were his contemporaries. Henry Ford, the founder of Ford. John D. Rockefeller, Rockefeller, one of the richest person of all time, the richest people of all time. Rockefeller. He had a monopoly basically on fuel, on petrol. Can you imagine? Andrew Carnegie, he was in the railway business, also almost a monopoly. Just guys at the top, he was giving as an example. Their habits, what they like. So the Law of Success, do you want me to? Yeah, who am I asking? I'm asking myself, do you want me to read a couple? Anyway, I'm just gonna give you one. It was like 16 laws almost. I'm pretty sure 16 or 15. One of them was always do more than what you're paid for. That's really good. Think about it. You have to do more than what you're paid for in order to get to the next level. Yeah? So be proactive. Don't just, oh, they're not paying me for this, I'm not doing it. How many people that have this mindset, that go somewhere? When I read it though, put into words like this, I'm like, oh yeah, of course, yeah. That's why you need to be like this. Clicked. I've heard, before that you need to work hard, you need this, but then most people, you kind of feel sorry. Oh, why am I doing this? You feel a bit, these you feel a bit entitled, and it's just really helped me get away from this stupid mindset of entitlement. Oh yeah, oh no, not I'm not being paid for it, as if you're something special. No, do more than what you're paid for. Yeah, excel at your job. Do more. Always, it's essentially at the end of the day, it's for you. You can go home and know, I did my best today. Is it appreciated? No. Will it be appreciated one day? Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping. But if not, at least I know, hey, nothing on the table. I left nothing on the table. Did everything. Everything in my powers. And we link this to stoicism. It reflects on my character. But this is just one. The book is genius, honestly. This book is great. Proper old school self-help book. Not overblown, over the top, quick fix, quick this, quick that. Nowadays is self-help books, which are just boring, to be fair. I always like to go to the original source material, not get recycled 15-time recycled version of something else. Go to this 100 years old book, boom, the original gangster of self-help authors. There you go. I'm not reading the art of not giving a fuck or something like this. What the hell? Number 4. I said no biographies, didn't I? And then my fourth is kind of a biography, Lone Survivor. There is a movie. So this is about the SEALs. This is about Marcus Luttrell. There is a movie with Mark Wahlberg. If you haven't read the book, at least watch the movie. Come on, that's one of the best movies, to be honest. Obviously, I like movies about soldiers and military and stuff like that. The Navy SEALs, these tough guys. Now, ignore whether what they're doing is good or bad. All this, oh, the Americans, I hate the Americans, blah blah. Doesn't matter. We're thinking about the person. What type of person you need to be to become a Navy SEAL? What you have to believe in something really strong, really strongly, and what kind of person you need to be willing to give your life for what you believe is defending your country, defending your family. This is a very special individual, that type of person. You know what I mean? So that's why I've included. This book is amazing. The guy is chased by whatever, by what were they? In Afghanistan, they were left. He was chased by whatever, just some 60, 70 people looking for him. After it was a team of 4. The mission was basically messed up. They had to survive in the mountains of Afghanistan against an army of basically 200. Honestly, just read the book. Read the book and see what type of character some people have. That's what it is. Why is it 4th? After all the philosophy books and all this. Because for me, what impacts me the most is an example of an just character. The example is one thing to understand it logically, to kind of, yeah, I get it, I know what it's about. But then when you see the example also, is that much stronger after you know, after you start valuing these things. After I've read all these books, for example, Aristotle, this, that, the Stoics, and then you see it, you see someone's story, and you're noticing all these values, all these things that you've started valuing, and you've understood actually why are they so important, and you see the example, and it's like, oh, nothing can be an example of selflessness. Is the highest, to me, it's like the highest. I don't even know if I can. Is there anything better than a good, proper example of strength and character and selflessness and courage? You know, that's why this is up there. Number 3, moving on. Gates of Fire. The story of the Spartans. Now, anyone that knows me knows what I think of the Spartans. This is something very special to me. The story, as I said, selfless. The Spartans, Navy SEALs, kind of similar. These warriors, never surrender, never retreat. To the end. For what they believe in. The greatest warriors of all time, up there with the samurai, the Spartans. And Gates of Fire is the book. It's a historical novel. So again, I did say non-fiction books. This is a novel, historical, so based on reality, but again, it's a novel. It's not an perfectly accurate historical account, but it's just a brilliant book. The Spartans. Their utter belief and complete, they apply themselves completely to their principles and beliefs. Completely. For them, for the Spartans, This sounds crazy for most people, but the more I read, the older I get, the more perfectly logical and sensible this sounds to me. For them, the highest glory was, the greatest glory was to die in battle. Why? Because think about it. This means that you lived up to your principles. You gave everything that you had. There is nothing more to give apart from your life. You gave it to the thing you believed in, the thing you are. You're a warrior to the bones. And you went out there and you left it all there. And just a story. The Spartans, like a handful of Spartans, a couple hundred Spartans, the 300. Watch the movie as well. The 300 Spartans to go out there again against thousands, like between 50 and 200,000 Persians. They go to a certain death. They all know it. With the king, King Leonidas goes, he's at the front. King Leonidas. What is that? In the movie, he's like 40. He's actually, historically, he was in his 60s. And he went there and he fought on the front. He was on the front. That's what, you read this book, this is what leadership is about. There is no talk about leadership. All the leadership books ever, they mean nothing. They're nothing compared to this. Leonidas, the king of Sparta, is gonna go there and die with the soldiers. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. That's what it's about. Find something greater than this. Find it. And someone is gonna come with stupid criticisms about the Spartans, and I don't want to hear it. Find something greater. Yeah. 60. He's the king. Doesn't need to be there. He can just send the soldiers, and they stay there and they fight till the last man with no fear of what's coming. They accepted it. That's me. That's belief. I think you can tell though. You can tell that book means a lot to me. I've never been so, we could say, emotional about on this podcast. But then this is the best episode, isn't it? The Spartan. Top 2 now. Probably some of you kind of figured out what's coming. If you haven't, number 2 is David Goggins, You Can't Hurt Me. And number 1, I'm just gonna put it together, is also David Goggins, Never Finished. And it's again that story. It's again a story, an example. Why have I put this book there? Is it more meaningful than as a story? Because again, this is I am guessing everyone knows David Goggins. If you don't know David Goggins, immediately, you need to stop what you're doing, get both of the books, read them, listen to his podcasts and everything. Immediately, I don't think you can continue your life without knowing about him. You're missing something that cannot be replaced, honestly. The guy is a force of nature. You need to see it. Is he the perfect person? No, of course not. Everyone is flawed somehow. Is he probably the most inspiring person, one of the toughest people alive? Yes, no question. So Can't Hurt Me is like his backstory, where he comes from. Every single thing. We were talking about success here. environment. He was born in the worst possible environment. He's black, by the way. If most people, like, if someone don't know him in somehow, he's a black guy. He grew up in Indiana in like a all white school and whatever. He was abused every day, death threats, everything. His dad, so he goes abused in school. His dad abuses him, his brother, his mother abuse. But when I say abuse, his dad is a drunk and everything. He runs away with his mom. His mom finds someone else, like finds another guy. The guy gets shot or something like this. She finds someone else, but she's so damaged from the abuse as well. Also, guys, I'm not gonna tell you the story. Every single thing, bad thing that can happen to someone, basically happened to him, and he found a way through everything. Right? He found a way against all odds to make something of himself, become what he is from like the lowest ever. A person that cannot read, cannot write, he's behind mentally, everything. Abused, damaged, everything. At 24, overweight, like dead end job, to transform himself into that person that is, when you listen to the things he's done and he does, you're like, that's too much. That's not possible. How is this possible? Why? The transformation, the Nietzsche, you see, the journey of overcoming yourself, becoming something more, looking within to find something more. It's just, this is 1 and 2 because this book, like I've read them both probably 5 times. They've just done so much for me that nothing compare everything else. These 2 books have impacted me the most, probably. That's why they're up there. Do they have the most knowledge in them? No, but just the example and the example. As I said, nothing more powerful than an example. There is a quote from, I think, Epictetus. Don't talk about your philosophy. Embody it. That's basically it. Yeah. Again, I talk a lot. Not a lot, but I have a podcast at the end of the day. I like to share. But nothing, out of all the things I say, nothing would matter if I just go out and live my life in like, I'm nothing like what I'm on camera. So to be here to talk in front of the camera like an idiot, it's a bit embarrassing to be thinking about. I make sure I'm very critical of myself. Is the way I live my life allowing me to talk, or should I just shut up? Yeah. And yeah, it's just I keep myself accountable. I try to. Anyway, it's not. This was about the books. Yeah, not really a personal story of greatness. But yeah, this book, this guy, they've nothing, no example stronger than whatever excuse you have. Read the book. He's got 10 more, and then he's overcome it. He's done more than you, and he started way behind you. And then you have some excuses. You just perspective example. Like, what am I doing with these excuses? What am I doing with? What kind of person am I? He makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable. Some people, that's why they don't like him, because it makes them look at themselves and be like, gee, this guy's gonna fail. Yeah, these knees are gonna give out. This, that, people hate. Read books. The best 2 best books. They've changed my life the most. I've read them in total probably 10 times. And it's just all about the work. The guy is a machine. And he's always looking for more. That's it. No example more powerful than this. Always looking for more. He's always willing to find more. And that's why I put never finished at one, because he's never finished. You are never finished. The job is never finished. Stop looking for this. Oh, when this happens, yeah. But the reality is, obviously we're going to talk about this other times and about this topic, but it's never done, yeah. This is life. Is if you want to do something, if you want to live a certain type of life, meaningful, or yeah, the work doesn't stop. You can't just be good for 2 years and then stop being good. You know, then you're not good anymore. So the job is never finished. And you can take being good as, are you good at your job or good as a person or whatever. And you need to accept the reality that it's just work. You have to work. There is no way around it. And getting better is the same thing. Looking yourself in the mirror, being honest with yourself and saying, I can do better. Because that's what it's about. And that's also the example that you're going to set eventually. But yeah, this is my top 20 books. 1 hour and 57 minutes. I got it in time. I was aiming for 2 hours max. And yeah, that's done now. If anyone's finished it, if you got to here, then I'm happy. If I was to, no, that's fine. You know, it's okay. It's all good. Thanks for watching, listening, or whatever else. And yeah, top 20. Maybe do updated list at the end of the year. Maybe top 10 books of this year, 2025. But yeah, top 20. No one asked for it, but I know everyone wanted it secretly. Anyway, we're done now. We finally got the big one out the way. And we move on. Hopefully this year I can come across some new books that can break that list. And yeah, again, I appreciate whoever got to hear, watched, listened, whatever. I had fun. I enjoyed it. My voice is probably gone almost, but we did it. We finished. Thank you, and I'll be back next week.